Welcome to our online session on PhD study in Germany, research in Germany. I'm glad that so many people have joined me. You can see our schedule. We'll start with a little introduction about the DAAD, the German Academic Exchange Service. What are we, and why do I feel responsible for higher education and research in Germany, a bit about the German language, a little advertisement block. So, and then we'll come to very practical questions of how to apply for a PhD in Germany, how does the funding work, and of course, all of this is really about your questions. I could take that chance to introduce myself, otherwise I always forget this. So, my name is Georg Verweyen, and I'm head of the DAAD Information Center in Bangkok. And I've been here for 5 years, and yeah, I'm glad that you're joining us for this COVID-induced online session. We are a small information center, but we represent 400 German universities, so that's pretty cool. And we are a non-profit, so I'm not particularly associated to any German university, and we just try to provide you with the best information we can. So I'll try to do this, and we'll start with a little view of this network. So the DAAD is an organization of all German universities, as I said, and we have a network of about 70 offices around the world. There are bigger offices in Jakarta and Hanoi, and then there are slightly smaller offices responsible for just one country. So the information center in Bangkok deals with Thailand. The DAAD itself has got 3 objectives, 3 goals. We provide scholarships for the best. So the DAAD is the biggest scholarship donor worldwide. And we collect expertise for academic collaboration. This can be used by both the international side, the Thai side, but also for the German side. So if a German university wants to know something about Thailand, they'll come and ask, and it works the other way around. If you want to know anything about German higher education and research, then please feel free to come to us. And well, third field is the structures for internationalization. So DAAD provides an infrastructure for German universities to participate in international fairs. We help facilitate the international exchange on different levels. So that's what we do. Okay, so a few facts about Germany. I hope you know that Germany is pretty much in the center of the EU. You can see that you can easily reach many countries within, let's say, 1 hour of flight or a few hours in the train. So if you want to explore Europe, then probably Germany is a very good point to start. Higher education. Now, this is the second most confusing slide during the presentation. I'm looking forward to the most confusing slide, but this is the second most confusing. You can see all 400 universities in Germany. 100 of them are Universitäten in German, so that means that they are relatively big, research-oriented universities that are also conferring a PhD. The other universities are universities of applied science and academies of arts of music and yeah, all kind of smaller institutions. And all those universities together offer about 40,000 academic programs. You can see it is very evenly spread across the whole country. That is remarkable, especially from a Thai perspective, where 85% of the research is done in and around Bangkok. The research in Germany is done in about 30,000 different institutes. So that is institutes within a university or research institutes out of the university. It could be the Max Planck Institutes or Fraunhofer, or so there's a whole variety of different institutions doing research. And if you want to learn more, I have grabbed this map at gerit.org. So relatively easy to find all this information. If you are looking for a research institution, yeah, we may look into that later if you're interested. Okay, German language. As I said in the schedule, don't worry too much. You don't have to speak German to do research in Germany. You can do a PhD in Germany without any knowledge of German. Yeah, it is helpful to speak some German, and I believe it's also helpful for your career, for your CV, to speak German. Nowadays, honestly, the standard is that you speak at least English plus X. And I would very much appreciate if that X could be German. Yeah. So finally, I solved that camera issue. Okay. So yeah, German might be a nice add-on. I mean, nowadays everybody speaks English, but being the one that also speaks German and Thai or French, as I suggest here, would be cool. Okay, some numbers. You know, I know some of you are nerdy number crunchers. So yeah, about 1,000 institutions, so entire financially kind of independent units, like a university or a Max Planck Institute. About 1,000 institutions conduct research in 500 networks and clusters. You can see 600,000 people in Germany working on research, lots of partnerships, and more than 100 billion euros gross domestic expenditure on R&D. That is a bit more than €1 per person, including everyone from the baby until people in retirement. So that's quite good. And basically nobody is going to remember those numbers. If you are keen on those numbers, you don't have to copy paste or take a photo now. There is a link on the schedule where you can just download the entire PDF of my presentation. Okay, so who is doing R&D? Well, of course, it's the universities, so represented by the TU9 and U15 University Association here on my slide. Of course, it's the research institutes that you might know, like Max Planck, Helmholtz, and Leibniz. But of course, it's also the industry. Yeah? So the industry is doing about 2/3 of R&D in Germany. And typically at this point in my presentation, I ask the question, hey, who can tell me what is the secret to a successful institution doing R&D in Germany? If you want to do industrial research, how do you do that? Tick tock, tick tock, tick tock. Well, the comment block isn't open, so I'll just give away the secret. The secret to successful R&D in German industry seems to be having a circular logo. Round logos are key to success. Okay, well, if you don't have a logo yet, just create one and start your research career in Germany. Yeah, so a very varied landscape. You have the universities, you have the research institutes, really covering the entire country. You don't have to stick with the big cities that you may know. You can do research literally everywhere and anywhere. This was probably way too much information and very confusing, but I like this diagram just to understand a bit more who is doing what. Yeah, so I think this is very helpful. You can see that you have this diagonal axis, and this axis shows that the more applied research is typically funded by private institutions. Yeah, so private funding means applied research correlates with private funding. And in this field, you have the industry, companies, networks and clusters, that is universities and research institutions cooperating with the industry. More or less in the middle, you have the Fraunhofer Gesellschaft. So they are doing a lot of research, but typically it is geared very much towards an application. And they, for instance, have an office here in Thailand, and they are doing a lot of consultancy for also for the Thai government and for the industry. And the other extreme is the basic research. Yeah, research where you think, okay, this is great. We all want to know how the universe is made up, how the smallest particles function. Those are questions that are important, but they don't really pay off in the short term. So this kind of basic research is funded by public funding and is done in typically the Max Planck Gesellschaft, Max Planck Association, and in the big research infrastructures like particle accelerators or the German research vessel Polarstern. Yeah, financially it doesn't make any sense to have a research vessel in the ice, frozen in, but it's great research, things that they are doing. Yeah, so I think this is a very helpful scheme to understand how funding is financed and who is doing what in Germany. Okay, that's the broad overview about the higher education and research landscape in Germany. I mean, I could just go on and on. We have a big brochure on that research landscape in Germany. It's a very good one. You can download the entire brochure if you search for German research landscape. Do you have any questions? That would be a good chance. If you can get a scholarship to do a PhD in Germany, does DAD Thailand have a German course for beginners? Yes. So all our PhD scholarships come with a language course. Yeah, if you or when you receive a PhD scholarship and it says, okay, this is for 4 years, then in fact it means 4 years plus a language course before you even start. Yeah, so you go to Germany 2 or 3 months early, and then you have a very intensive language course so that you will be able to communicate with your colleagues or neighbors, or I mean just people in Germany in German language. Yeah, it's not a requirement for your academic career, but it's very helpful, and it's always included. And if you don't have a scholarship, all the German universities do have language courses. Yeah, so if you arrive there without a scholarship and you say, hey, I want to enroll as a PhD candidate and I don't speak German, do you have any language courses? The international office can help you with that. PhD student in Thailand, and you wonder if most of the institutes in Germany would welcome a PhD student to do an exchange program. Yes, yeah, I think so. Typically, universities are very happy to have international guests. And there are different ways to do such an exchange. You could try to apply in the RISE program. That is an internship program for researchers. Or you can just ask them if you could come for a visit and for an exchange. Yeah, it's probably best to ask your international office to assist with that. It's just for suspense reasons that I try to talk about the research landscape before, and I promise we will come to the topic of scholarships. We do support spouses. Yeah, so if you want to bring your married partner to Germany and you are a scholarship recipient, there will be a small extra money for your husband or wife. It's not a lot, but it helps. There is no extra language course, so I would recommend that you could ask at the university. Maybe they can offer something. I mean, maybe you have to pay for it, but I am sure it will be possible to find a language course. There is also a special consideration for students with disabilities. Yes. We don't have any official rate or so. Yeah, I mean, disabilities can be, I mean, very different, obviously, and DAD tries to make sure that nobody stays at home just because of this disability. There is extra funding up to 10,000 euros to accommodate for extra costs caused by a disability. It has to be done on a case-by-case basis. But yes, we try to support people with disabilities. There is no extra consideration during the selection process. Yeah, it should neither be, I mean, definitely it should be a disadvantage. You just apply with your academic abilities, and if you are, if we say, hey, look, this guy, this girl is really bright, they deserve a scholarship, then we'll manage somehow. Yeah? There is extra money available for that. yeah, so there will be scholarships, but you can also ask to become a teaching assistant. That's always a bit more difficult when you come from abroad and you don't speak English. Yeah, so working at the university is of course something that is done very regularly. It also depends a bit on the subject. We'll come to that later. Yes, you could theoretically also start a PhD already and then apply for scholarships later. Contacting the professor before you have your master's certificate. Well, I think if you are about to finish and you have a really interesting research project that might be interesting for the professor, yes, you could try and contact people very early on in your career. Yes, we already answered the question. Yeah, you can do your PhD at a research institute, but you have to be associated to a university. Okay, the proposal should have about 10 pages maximum, yeah, for DAAD. Okay, so I feel there are many questions coming in. People from other countries. Yes, I'm glad there are people listening from Ethiopia. I've been teaching and counseling in Kenya before, and I'm pretty sure that the conditions for Ethiopia are very similar to Thailand. Yeah, so it's a different story if we talk about highly developed countries, but for most countries, the conditions for PhD are very similar. Well, you do not need, yeah, so you don't need a research publication before you apply for a PhD scholarship or for PhD admission at the university. Okay, I'll try to continue a bit. I think we're getting too deep into that scholarship topic already. Okay, that's the, yay, that's my favorite part, the advertisement block. Ooh. Yeah, so why go to Germany? This is my favorite statistics. It's the US News Country Ranking. I'm using that for a number of years. So I think in last year we were number 3, this year we are number 4. So Germany is pretty popular in the US in this country ranking, and it's always funny to see why. So you can see that, yeah, not so surprisingly, we're good in entrepreneurship, and quality of life is quite good in Germany. But if you look at the first one, we really suck when it comes to adventure. Yeah, so I always warn people, if you want to have an adventure, then just don't go to Germany. Yeah, Germans are very predictable. So typically Germans just do what they say and they say what they do, and you don't have to interpret much. Yeah, so sometimes this feels like it's very unfriendly. Yeah, so you ask a simple question, hey, can I do that? And then the answer is just no. And so typically it just means what they say, right? If somebody says, hey, your proposal, the research questions were pretty crap, then it just means that the research questions were crap. Maybe the rest was very good, and maybe you can fix that problem. But yeah, typically the German answer would be straight to the point, and it may look a bit unfriendly, but really just take it literally. Yeah, that's the secret to understanding Germans and understanding Germany. Just take it literally. So adventure is not our strong side. Otherwise, it's a great country. And it's also a great country regarding the cost of living. So the Study EU team always do a country ranking of European countries, and Germany is typically pretty high in that ranking, but I think this cost affordability ranking is very interesting as well. So the most affordable country is Poland, but you probably haven't thought of studying in Poland. And you see that Germany is stuck down here between Portugal and Lithuania. Yeah, so you can imagine that the more expensive countries like France and the UK are somewhere down at the bottom, and Germany is surprisingly ranking among those relatively affordable European countries. Yeah, it is more expensive than Thailand, obviously, but it is more affordable than you might think. Yeah, so it's not that bad. And yeah, you see about 850 euros per month, and that is including everything. Now that is including your rent, that's including your food and your clothing and your insurance and travel and transport and going out and books and whatever. Now that's the grand total for the typical student in Germany. So that's, I believe, good news. It's fancy animation. Okay, then safety right now is a big issue. We all know that Thailand for a few consecutive days now has not seen any COVID infections. That's really great. But you can also see that while Europe has been pretty hard hit, Germany has really managed to flatten the curve, and yeah, there is a very good health system, and I think Germany has been dealing with this crisis very well. Yeah, so these are a few countries that you might consider for studying abroad, and obviously Germany is a very good choice here, but it's also a good choice when you look at crime rates or anything like that. So it's not perfect, right? I mean, we all see atrocities in the media once in a while, but overall, it is a pretty safe place. Yeah, so all of that leads to 12% international whatever at the universities. It's 12% bachelors, I think 11 or so. It's I think 13% master students. It's around 12 and a few percent PhD students, and it is, I think, 13% international researchers at German universities. So at any stage, you have about 1 in 8 people from abroad. In total, we have got 26,000 PhD candidates from abroad at German universities. And yeah, what I found out just today, doing a bit of research, was that the journal impact of those people who move from one country to another significantly increases. Yeah, so if you compare scientists who stay at home and those scientists who go to Germany, the impact factor increases from about 1.7 to 2.2. Pretty cool research. Okay. So I'll just have a sip of water, go through the questions, and share another video with you.
You made the right decision. Germany is a fantastic place to do your PhD. But what kind of PhD should it be? Because here in Germany we have two different systems. No need to be confused, it is actually quite simple. The approach might differ, but the goal remains the same. The individual PhD is most common in Germany. It is the traditional route, so to speak. Here you are free to choose your research topic and you individually chart your way through the research. A professor of your choice will supervise you, but still you will work independently most of the time. If you have a high degree of personal initiative and responsibility, this might be the right path for you. The other option is a structured PhD program. It is similar to PhD programs in English-speaking countries. Here, your research proposal has to fit an existing PhD program.
Yay!
Typically, you take part in a curriculum with mandatory attendance, are surrounded by a team of fellow researchers and supported by academic staff. If you are taking your first steps into independent research, this path is probably the right one for you. But no matter which path you choose, you arrive at the same destination, your German PhD. Come and choose your own path.
Yeah, so that's the two very different ways to do a PhD. The individual PhD gives you total freedom of choice. If you know exactly what you want to do, that's your way. And the structured PhD gives you more guidance, and I believe it increases your chances for success. But you are, of course, losing that freedom of choice. Yeah, so you have to find a program where you fit in. Otherwise, it just doesn't work. Okay. Wow, so many questions. I'll just have a brief look. Research proposal and supervisor to accept are more needed than research present publication. Yes, yeah. So you really need to find a very good match for your supervisor. That is really important, and that will exactly be the next thing we'll talk about. Minimum English score is up to the advisor, as you already guess. Yes, if you communicate with the supervisor and the supervisor is happy with your English skills, then that's basically it. Yeah, it may be different from one university to the other, but usually it's up to the supervisor. For our scholarship application, we ask for IELTS 6.5 overall, I think. Yeah, so for the scholarship application, there is an English requirement. There is no German requirement. Yeah, even if it always says that you need some German, you don't. Yeah. Let's move on to the easier question of how to find a structured PhD program. That is easy indeed. You just go to daad.de international programs, and you can then just narrow down the search. I did this for you in this one case. So this is only PhDs It's only those taught entirely in English. It's only for engineering, and more specifically, it's only for electrical engineering. Yeah. So if you want to do a PhD in Germany, in English, in electrical engineering, you have 5 different structured PhD programs to choose from. So 188, that is all the structured PhD programs in Germany that are offered entirely in English. Yeah, that's the easy bit. If you are looking for a structured program, then look for international programs. Yeah? DAD, DE, international programs, and there you go. That's the easy bit. It's more complicated to find a good supervisor for an individual PhD. That is probably the one most frequently asked question. Yeah, I'm a student at XYZ University, and I don't know how to find a supervisor for my PhD research proposal. So, of course, well, the first choice, well, I would say try to put yourself in the shoes of the supervisor. Obviously, you want something from the supervisor and you want money from DAD. That's easy. So try to think the other way around. What could be the benefit of that supervisor of taking you on as a research candidate? And I think, I mean, the only thing you can give is your work, your research interest, your brains. Yeah, that's what you give into that game. And so you should try to find a supervisor who is really interested in your research project. You need to find somebody who is really excited about the things that you want to do. So you need a really good fit. That's I believe, the most important bit. Don't go for somebody who says, yeah, I kind of did some research on your topic. Yeah, I could take you on. You know, it's this person will probably not be really excited about your research. It's honestly, it's not going to work. So what you can try is, well, personal recommendation is, of course, really cool. If you ask your professors from university where you did your master's, and they say, hey, look, I know somebody in Heidelberg and I can introduce you, that's cool. But most of us don't have those connections. So most of us have to go and look for someone. So second choice would be databases like researchingermany.org. Really good website, and among other information, you also find open PhD positions. It's, I think, 80 or so right now. That is typically PhD positions in bigger projects funded by the German Research Foundation, things like that. And then thirdly, I want to talk about advanced Googling. Yeah, this is what I call Google 201. We're all good at Google 101, but I think now for your PhD, it's time to move on and try Google 201. So this advanced Googling, that's what we're going to do now. And it works like this. You want to find, okay, I see that I just forgot the most important bit. I forgot to type in the search question. So you can find really interesting things at Google when you type in URL colon uni. So that is how you narrow down your search. That could be a bit bigger. Let's go up in size and use a proper computer font. Okay. So in URL uni, this means that you are only looking at results where the where the web address contains the phrase uni for university. And then you add to that site colon.de. So this limits our search to only German websites. There is, wait a second, there is no space between the colon and the next word. Yeah, please just colon next word, site colon.de. And then we can also add the abbreviation prof for professor, because you need a professor to supervise your project. And then finally, you add your search key terms. Yeah, I think in this case, I looked for something on Asian languages and machine learning. Yeah, so if you want to find German professors who are dealing with Asian languages and machine learning, you just type this into your Google search window, and I promise you, on the first page, there will be about 20 or so potential supervisors. I've tried this in public a number of times, and it always works. So trust me. This is Google 201. Please give it a shot, and I can guarantee you that you'll find many potential German supervisors in this super easy and convenient way. Okay, so how do I apply practically? Well, I have copied some advice from the Research in Germany website, and I must say that there is a lot of really good advice there. But in the end, the last point here is be brief and precise. Okay, first they tell you, hey, you have to cover this, and be brief. Yeah. So a typical German professor receives quite a number of emails asking for help and everything during a day. So they don't want to read a very long email. So I would focus really on being brief and precise, and not so much on covering all the details of the research field and all those things. I believe you should really address the professor in a, let's say 5-line or maybe 10-line email, and explain what you want to do, how you want to do it, and why you want to do it with this supervisor exactly. Yeah. And then you should be very well prepared. So if you manage to get the attention of this supervisor, then it's your choice, then it's your chance to send out a CV and to send out a research proposal. Yeah, I would not recommend putting all of that in the first email. It's going to be too long. Nobody wants to read this. It's too much. Rather keep it brief, precise, and professional, polite. And then you should, as soon as the professor said, yeah, that sounds interesting, could you send me a bit more? then you could just, grab in the folder, attach and send, and dang, send your CV, send your proposal, send your publications if you have any, which is not a requirement. It works. It takes some time. It doesn't always work with the first professor. It's okay to ask 2 or 3 of them at the same time, but don't ask all of them, but rather focus on 1 or 2, maximum 3, and do it well prepared. Yeah. Okay. In the research proposal, this research proposal is absolutely key. It is key to convince a supervisor, and it's also key to win a scholarship. The proposal is really the most important bit. It should include who is doing why, what, how, where, and when. Yeah, so you are doing what? Is it in a team? Is it only you? Why do you do that? Is there a research gap, or yeah? How do you come up with that? What exactly do you want to do? How are you going to do it? So what are the methods? Are there any established methods to answer this question? Where do you want to do it? Is it possible to do that in Germany, or do you have to do it in Thailand? And then a rough time plan. Yeah, when do you want to do what? It's really important to answer all those questions. And then during interviews, one of the key questions that come up every time is, what is new? Is there anything new in your research that you want to do, or is it just applying a well-established theory to something that is already there? Yeah. And be very careful to avoid a mismatch between your research questions of what you want to do and how you want to do it. So if you say, I want to do research on those 3 questions, and then you have your methods, and if those don't match up, if you can't answer those questions with the methods, then you have a problem. And it should be very clear what exactly you are going to address with what part of your methods. Don't introduce methods that you don't need to answer the questions, and don't ask any questions that can't be answered using your methods. Yeah, this is really a very common mistake. Yeah, try to have a clear structure so that even if you know that you can use all your methods and you know where things are, for me as a reader, it should be intuitive so that I can find the answers to these, 6 W question of, 5 W and an H, yeah, to those questions. Of course, yeah, don't plagiarize. If you copy anything, please quote it and cite it properly. And before you hand it in, you should double check the spelling and the grammar. Maybe you can find somebody with more experience with English if you hand it in English. Okay. Okay, another round of questions. Minimum English score, I'll just for the record write it down. So I always mix up all those TOEFL scores. Yeah, TOEFL is totally acceptable, but I lost track of this TOEFL internet-based, paper-based, person something, so many points. So the only thing that I can remember is the IELTS scheme. And for IELTS, we ask for 6.5 overall in most scholarship programs. Yeah, so there might be other options, but for most programs, it's 6.5. How can you get an advisor related to my research area? Well, you could have a look at the research institutions at GERIT, or you could, well, just use my Google 201. Yeah, so if you like, just take that search phrase, apply it in a Google search box, and then you add your key search terms. And honestly, I have always found a suitable supervisor for anyone. Yeah, it's really easy. Okay. Cool. Now, money. Funding your PhD. Of course, you can work at the university. This is particularly common or popular among students of engineering. Yeah, in engineering, it is most students work at the university, even if they don't speak German. That should be possible. It's a different story for other subjects, particularly for the humanities or the social sciences. There are less teaching assistant, part-time, whatever jobs at the university. So in those fields, you are more reliant on scholarships. And just mentioning here that it's not just the DAAD. Yeah, so there are many foundations and associations funding students, and you will get an overview of all those at the end of this presentation. Scholarships from DAAD are available for all subjects and from any Thai university or other international universities to any German university. Yeah, so you don't have to come from any super special research or whatever university, and you can go to any German university and do your PhD there. Any duration is possible between 4 months and 4 years. Yeah, so we do support the full PhD, but you can also go for a shorter research stay. And I would love to talk for about 2 minutes about my favorite sandwich. Now it's always time for a sandwich. Now let's look at this bi-nationally supervised PhD research stay in Germany. That's the official title. And we all call it the sandwich. Well, the sandwich, as you can see, consists of 3 layers. The first layer is that you enroll at your home university. Then you go to Germany for up to 2 years and do a research stay. And you come back and you graduate at home. The benefit of this sandwich is that it may give you a double degree. Yeah, it's relatively easy to meet the requirements for both Germany and your home country. When you enroll at your home university, you can do the coursework or whatever you have to do during the first year. Then you go to Germany, do your research stay at the German university, You will need a German supervisor, of course. That's the case for all our programs. And as most German universities have this traditional individual research-only PhD, you are fulfilling the requirements for a PhD if you only do the research. So you go to Germany, do your research, then you go home, spend some time writing, finishing up, etc. And then you have an examination, or maybe you have 2 examinations. It could be a joint examination. That depends a bit on the university, but you can basically get 2 PhDs for the price of 1. Yeah, so you do research once, you do 1 or 2 closely related exams, and then you can receive 2 PhDs with that. So to me, this is really, really cool. My favorite sandwich. Please keep this in mind. It's really, really cool. Okay, and I promised you, I mean, there was so much information at the same time. So when it comes to money, when it comes to funding, the funding guide is your place of choice. In the funding guide, you can find all the donors for study and research in Germany in one place. Yeah, it's a nice database, and you just have a few tick boxes. So you say, well, I want to do a PhD, and I want to do, don't know, engineering, and then it comes up with, I don't know, 8 possible scholarships, and then you see what you can do. So that's really cool. That is one of the big benefits of having the DAAD representing all universities and German research. Yeah, we can provide this access to all this data in just one place. So you don't have to look for who is out there, who is offering scholarships, and secondly, where could I apply? Yeah, so it's all in one place. It's really very convenient, and yeah, I hope that's helpful. This is our last question mark. Are there any new questions? Oh yeah, human medicine, right? I did not put that footnote here. I think there were not many people from medicine. The medical doctorate in Germany is typically way shorter than the doctorate in any other subject, to put it very carefully. Therefore, DAAD does not provide 4 years of funding for medicine. Yeah, so for human medicine, for dentistry, for veterinary medicine, you can only do a 1-year grant. Yeah, so you can only be funded for 1 year in this medical field. But if you say, well, I am from biology and I want to do some infection, something research, or if you are a chemist and you want to do something with pharmacological impact, or if you are a nanoscientist and you want to do something with relation to medicine, that is all fine. Yeah, so you can do a full 4-year PhD on overlapping fields, but the result cannot be a German doctor of medicine, but it should be a doctor of science, doctor of engineering, doctor of something else. Yeah, can't be a medical doctor. If you are aiming for a medical doctor in Germany, then we only support 1 year. Thank you for staying with us and bearing with the technical hiccups that always come up when you do such a session in both multiple screens and multiple platforms. You find a lot of information at, well, this is still this study in Germany, but there is also a research in Germany website that's down here. Research in Germany.de or researchingermany.org. Both works fine. You can find our website at DAAD.ORTH, and please feel free to get in touch if you have any questions. We can also set up a little Zoom or a Google Meet or something, so we can talk if you have any questions regarding research in Germany. Thank you very much. And I would love to hear from you if you consider studying in Germany. The application deadline, maybe that's good to say, is always mid-October. Yeah, right now it's a great time to prepare your application, and then you can hand it in, I think, in September until mid-October. And yeah, right now is the perfect time to prepare your proposal and to find a supervisor. And if you have any questions, just get in touch. Thank you very much.